Good afternoon and welcome to the SCR webinar, Healthy Eating and Getting More Active with Lisa Burbage. Lisa Burbage is president and founder of Wellness 5 LLC, a corporate health and wellness coaching company in Charleston, South Carolina. She helps employees establish lifestyle habits that allow them to live happier and healthier lives. And Wellness 5 is one of only a few companies in South Carolina to be fully accredited by the Center for Disease Control to offer their diabetes prevention program. Clients include the Medical University of South Carolina, the South Carolina Department of Health and Environment Control, the Charleston County School District, Solera Health, and the Post and Courier, as well as Aiken Standard newspapers. Lisa holds a master's degree in higher education and counseling from the University of South Carolina and a bachelor's degree in business administration from the College of Charleston. She is a national board certified health and wellness coach, NBC-HWC, and received her health coaching certification from Duke University. Lisa was also a top producing real estate agent for 20 years. Lisa and her husband now live in Charleston and own a farm in Hampton County where they grow organic vegetables. When she is not working, you can find her there gardening, cooking, and reading. So we want to thank you so much for joining us today, Lisa, and I turn the webinar over to you.
Thank you, Chelsea. I appreciate that. I wanted to say something about the real estate. I did sell real estate for over 20 years. And the reason that I changed careers was because I got cancer. So my whole focus now is helping other people avoid what I had to go through. And I can tell you that stress and unhealthy habits were the primary cause for me getting cancer. And I can totally relate to the realtor population because I know how much stress y'all deal with day in and day out. So anyway, I wanted to chat today a little bit about how getting healthy can be easy and how you can incorporate it into an already very busy schedule. We're going to talk a little bit about how to eat well, how to build a healthy meal, items that are in each food group, and then how to get more movement in your day. So first of all, I'm going to talk about, and I've got to remember to move this thing manually. I forgot I was doing it manually. So we're going to talk about, what you want to look for in a food when you want to eat healthy. You basically want to look for foods that are low in calories, fat, and sugar, but that are high in water and fiber, and also vitamins, minerals, and protein. You want to limit the foods that are low in fiber, water, and low in vitamins and minerals. So what does a healthy meal look like? Well, back when I was coming around, and probably a lot of y'all, we learned the food pyramid in school. Well, now we no longer teach that. We teach My Plate, and you can Google that, and it'll show you what needs to be on a healthy plate pretty much every meal. You want half of the plate, and I've got a diagram here, a picture here. Half of the plate, you want it to be non-starchy vegetables, and then a quarter of the plate, you want it to be whole grains and or starchy vegetables. And then of course, a quarter of the plate would be lean protein. You can also have a small amount of dairy if you do dairy, such as skim milk, and also a piece of fruit and a drink that has little or no calories. Most of us, though, when we think healthy eating, we think the plate should be half protein and half non-starchy vegetables. So as a result, most Americans don't eat enough whole grains. And we need to really, we'll go into that a little bit later, but we really need to have about 2 to 3 servings of whole grains a day. So let's talk about what is a non-starchy vegetable. Since the majority of your plate needs to have non-starchies, what is an example of some non-starchies? I've got them up here on the slide, and these are just some that I'm familiar with, but you may know of some other non-starchies that you enjoy eating. I can certainly include them. This is not an all-inclusive list. But asparagus, broccoli, leafy greens, peppers, green peppers, red peppers, yellow peppers, all of those are really good. I'm not going to read all of them, but all of those are really good non-starchy options. Leafy greens are probably the superstars, and those include mixed greens, kale, chard, collards, would be arugula. Those would be some examples of leafy greens, not iceberg nor romaine. And the reason is they both have a little bit of fiber and water, but they have no nutritional value to speak of. The next one is whole grains. So what are some examples of whole grains? And the reason you want whole grains is because they're high in fiber, and they fill you up. Fiber fills you up. It's also very good for your digestive system, and it keeps you satiated longer, so you don't tend to want to eat every 2 hours. So some examples of whole grains would be 100% corn tortillas, 100% whole grain cereal, whole wheat bread, black beans, rice. Those were some lentils, legumes. Those are some examples of what you could, well, really the lentils would be probably more under the starchy veggies. Yeah, let me switch that one. Lentils and beans would be, they're really in a category all of themselves, but we would want to lump them over in the in the starchy veggies. So the whole grains are, as I said, brown rice, whole grain pasta would be another good example. And the way you want to tell if it's 100% whole grain is you want to read the label. The first ingredient needs to say 100% whole wheat or whole grain. Otherwise, it's just bread that's been dyed brown, and it's really not a whole grain. Now, some of the, also oatmeal. Oatmeal is another good example of a whole grain. So what are some of the starchy veggies? Well, some of those would be potatoes, yams, sweet potatoes, pumpkin, peas, butter beans, corn, let's see, any kind of pea, Crowder peas, split peas, any kind of pea would be a starchy. The beans that I mentioned, those would all be starchies. So if you're going to have a starchy vegetable with your meal, then you would substitute that for the whole grain. You wouldn't have brown rice and then field peas. Those would be either or, but not both. Protein. So obviously a quarter of the plate does need to be lean protein. So what are some examples of lean protein? Well, eggs, and yes, you can eat the yolks. That's no longer true that it causes high cholesterol. We used to think that, but that's no longer relevant. Fish. Any kind of fish, any kind of shellfish is a very good option for lean protein. Nuts are a superstar a superstar protein source, but they do tend to be high in calories and fat. So if you're trying to watch your weight or lose weight, you definitely want to do portion control with nuts. And lean meats, lean turkey, lean ground beef, any turkey or chicken without the skin, of course, pork loin, any lean cut of meat is fine under the lean meats. And then dairy, if you do dairy, then there's obviously some good dairy options too. As far as cheeses go, you'd want to stay around the 2% or lower with cheese, because cheese is very high in fat. So if you do cheese, you want to do the 2% or lower cheese, or do one of the goat cheeses like feta or goat cheese. and not cow's milk cheese. Obviously, low-fat yogurt is another good option. Low-fat soy, almond milk, although almond milk's not really dairy, but it is a substitution for dairy. Skim or 1% low-fat milk. All of those would be good, healthy dairy options. And then fruit. The fruits here are just a sample of some that I know to be really good fruit choices, but obviously this list is not all inclusive either. So if there's fruits on here that you don't see and you like, and they're low glycemic fruits, then by all means enjoy those. And then drinks, low calorie, no calorie drinks would be obviously water. Sparkling waters, gosh, there's so many sparkling waters out there now. I was in the grocery store the other day and I could not believe all the new brands out. So sparkling waters are a great choice if you want a little carbonation and are getting tired of just water. Obviously tea, not sweet tea like we drink here in the South, but tea without sugar, coffee without sugar, and I think I mentioned water already. Obviously water's one of the no calorie drinks too. And you want to have a lot of water, especially here in the summer months. Okay, so what are the foods that we'd want to limit? Well, obviously sweet foods, anything that's really high in saturated fats or in sugar. And the sweet foods I think are pretty obvious: candy, cookies, anything with high fructose corn syrup. I always tell my students, you've got to read the labels. If you see that high fructose corn syrup is one of the ingredients, that's sugar. Ice creams, most all the processed snack foods have sugar and or some trans fats. They only have to report it if it's over a certain level. And then honey. Honey, a lot of people ask me about honey. Honey is certainly a good sweetener, but it is, a high glycemic. It will cause your sugar to go up really quickly. So if you like honey, just do it in moderation. And then the fatty foods, fried foods, obviously, very high in trans fats, full fat cheese, whole milk, shortening, butter, creamy dressings, all of those would be foods that we would want to limit. So let's talk about getting active, some ways to get active and the benefits of getting active. Well, the benefits are you sleep better, you have a better mood, it improves your balance and flexibility, can lower your blood pressure and cholesterol, lower your risk of getting a heart attack or having a stroke, and can help with losing weight and helping you to prevent or delay getting one of the many chronic diseases that are out there today, like diabetes and cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, some cancers. All of those are chronic diseases that we're hearing so much about nowadays. Exercise can really, really help with that. So what are some ways to get active? Well, again, this is not an all-inclusive list, but it does list a good many options. If time is something that you don't have a lot of, which I understand, being a realtor, I know you don't, but taking the stairs instead of an elevator, great way to get some movement in your day. Walking briskly instead of strolling. Those are some excellent, easy ways to get some extra movement in. And then if you have more time, you can go, for a bike ride, yard work. It can be a really good way to get some extra activity in your day. Of course, swimming this time of year, we swim in the summer, and that's a great way to get some movement. So that pretty much concludes what I was going to talk about today. Obviously, I went through it very quickly, and I wanted to make sure we had time for Q&A. If Chelsea wants to open it up, we can certainly have 15 minutes of Q&A if that would work for everybody.
Sure. Everybody, you have the chance to enter in your questions into the webinar. So if you have any questions, send those in. So currently we don't have anything other than people asking if we can get a copy of the presentation. This webinar is recorded and we will post it to our website and to our social media sites as well for your referencing. So if anybody else has any questions, now's the time to type them out. So we have another one, and it's someone asking about what you think about the new trend of intermittent fasting.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I try to do that myself. I'm not a big proponent of keto, or because keto to me is just an updated version of Dr. Atkins' diet and Dr. Atkins' diet of cardiovascular disease. So intermittent fasting though is a really good option, and that would be where you and you can do it at night. You want to say, let's say you stop eating at 8 o'clock at night and then you don't eat again until 8 o'clock in the morning. That's 12 hours of intermittent fasting. So you that's a really good way of losing weight and keeping your weight in check, is to do that. Just say, you know, I'm going to stop eating after 6 o'clock, and I get up early, so you know, I'm not going to eat before 6 o'clock in the morning. Or 7 o'clock, and don't eat again till the next morning.
Okay, let's see, another.
Did that answer, I hope that answers the person's question.
Yeah. Do you have any suggestions as far as meal prep goes?
Yeah, meal prepping is, you know, I really didn't hit on weight loss so much, but that is the reason that most people come to my classes, is to lose weight. And meal prepping is a great way to help you eat healthy when you're on the run. And you know, on a Sunday afternoon, you would want to, you know, chop your onions, your peppers, whatever you're going to use in your salads that week, or maybe you're making a spaghetti sauce and you want to, you know, have everything chopped up. So all you have to do is just put it together when you come home from work. But meal prepping is the secret. One of the secrets to losing weight is always having healthy options readily available, so you don't make the fast food run or go out to eat, and you can eat, you know, have more healthy options at home. The other thing that you'd want to do if you're trying to lose weight would be to track your food. That's been proven to be the #1 way to lose weight, is to track, whether you do it on an app or, you know, you write it out the old-fashioned way, whatever works for you, because most people think they eat less than they do. And then when they start tracking, they find out, wow, I guess I did grab that piece of candy on my way out the door to go meet a client. You'd want to, you know, you put that down, that counts. Or you ate your child's leftover French fries, that counts. And so you start tracking all this stuff, and you can really see in any period of time that you're probably consuming more calories than you realize.
Okay, great. Another question, they want to know about organics, and is it important to eat all organic items, or what your thoughts on that is?
Well, you know, it's, if you buy produce in season, local produce in season, which we have a lot of here in South Carolina, I don't know that you need to spend the extra few cents to buy organic. And you definitely wouldn't want to buy organic bananas or oranges or anything that you peel. That would be a waste of money. But the things that are local, you know, I think you're fine to, you know, we're not using a lot of pesticides. If you're getting fruits and veggies from Chile and South America, you know, maybe if there's an organic option, you might want to look at that, because in other countries, pesticides aren't regulated like they are here in the States. And so you're probably getting a pretty healthy dose of pesticides. And if you absolutely cannot afford or don't want to spend the extra few cents on organic, then just rinse really well and try to get off as much as you can.
Okay. Another question is, do you recommend probiotics in the form of supplements, or would you rather them get them through foods? And if so, through foods, which ones?
Okay, probiotics are a big thing now because they're doing a lot of research and showing that a healthy gut controls pretty much everything in your body, your brain function. It helps build your immune system. So there's a lot of research being done on consuming a lot of probiotics, and you're always going to absorb anything better if you eat it in the natural form. So instead of taking a probiotic pill, the better way to get probiotics into your system would be to eat foods that are high in those types of bacteria, such as kefir, which is a liquid yogurt, the kombucha tea, that I don't know if I'm pronouncing it exactly correctly, but kombucha tea that's out now, very high in probiotics. Fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, all of those are very high in probiotics. Onions, garlic, all of that, they're good sources of real food that is high in probiotics.
Okay, that wrapped up the questions. I don't know if you have any closing remarks, Lisa, or...
Well, you know, I'm a big proponent of always getting your nutrients, your vitamins, your minerals, your nutrients from real food. Processed foods, I always tell my students, if you want to know whether something is processed or not, read the labels. If they've got ingredients in it that you can't pronounce or don't understand, you can rest assured that's an overly processed food. You know, protein bars, a lot of times people think those are healthy, but when then you start looking at the labels and you're like, wow, there's a lot of things in here I don't know what they mean, and I can't pronounce them. So that's not a real food. If you stick to whole real foods, you're going to lose weight and be able to keep it off. And then one last thing about activity. A lot of times people think that if they exercise, they can undo any bad habits that they had around nutrition. I used to think that myself until I got cancer, because I always did exercise. It's something I've done most of my life. But you need to exercise. That is definitely part of living a healthy lifestyle, but it will not help you lose weight the way you think it will. It will oftentimes help you maintain weight, and it'll get your blood flowing better. So when you get your blood work done, you may see your cholesterol going down, or your sugar going down as a result of exercising, but exercise alone will not help you lose weight. If you want to lose weight and get healthy, the biggest thing you've got to do is adjust your diet.
Well, great. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lisa. And that concludes the webinar. So thank you so much.
Okay, thanks for letting me be a part. Everybody have a good day.